Hi, this is Steve, the coach for Fittestover40. Today I'm going to show you the warm-up I do to get ready for one of my track workouts or for race day preparation. Basically, I get right out to my warm-up run, or if I'm just doing a 5 or 7 mile run, I get right out there. I don't do any stretching or anything. But there are some days you just wake up, the joints are a little stiff, or even just driving to the track a lot of times takes me about 30 minutes. I get out of the car, I'm just not feeling like I'm ready to take off. So on those days, which really aren't too often, I just do a couple things to loosen some of the joints up to get ready for my warm-up run. So what I do is get the foot up on one toe and just roll the ankle. Do it about 12 times. I then switch, go counterclockwise. Again, about 12 reps. Next thing I do, put the feet together, the knees together, kind of squat back a little bit. And I'm going to do the same thing with the knees. I'm just going to do some circles, slowly increasing circumference a little bit, speed just a little bit, getting that blood circulated into the joints. Again, I'm going to switch, go counter. Around 12 reps I do. And then, sometimes the back is a little tight, and I'll just kind of and that's about it. It's just a real quick thing. And what I notice is, if I don't do that, on certain days that things are feeling a little stiff, I'll really start out real slow. If I get out of that car and I'm feeling that way and I don't do that, typically my easy pace is around 7:20. I'll be going out between 9 and 10 minute pace, and it's not feeling comfortable at all. But if I do that first, I pretty much start out 8:30, somewhere in that range, first quarter mile. Blood gets a little more circulated, and I'm back into my normal thing. Now for my warm-up run, I do anywhere basically between 1.25 miles to 2.5, maybe even 3 if I'm kind of in a base building phase. But typically it's 1.5, 2. That's usually my average. So now once I finish that, I've now got the heart rate up pretty decent. I've now warmed the muscle temperatures up good. I'm now ready to get into my stretching to hopefully have a successful and injury-free workout. So I got Yulia here, and she's going to demonstrate the stretching routine I do. I learned this routine in a sports conditioning specialist class. Let's switch legs. So this sports conditioning specialist certification that I received, I learned this part of this stretching routine in that I tweaked it and modified it just a little bit for my own preference and what I thought would be better suited for running. So we're going to start in a lunge position, and the stretching is basically just like the workouts. I'm progressing the stretch. So she's going to bend down here, lunge down until she's getting her first resistance in her hip flexor here, and then she's going to wave back out of it. So you want to just go down until you feel that first resistance in that hip flexor. You're also going to get some resistance in the hamstring. So we're going to go down a little bit further. We're maybe holding the stretch 3 to 5 seconds. So it's not a static stretch whatsoever. It's just we're just going to a resistance level, holding slightly, waving out, going back down a little further, waving back out. Okay, now let's bring the hand up. We're going to do the same thing back to the first level resistance in the hip flexor, but now you're going to get a little bit of an additional stretch up the lat. A little bit further. Okay. One more time, go ahead. The next progression in the stretch is going to be lunging to the resistance level, first resistance. Go ahead. We got the hand nice and straight. Now we're going to tilt over, bring in a little more stretch up the QL there. There you go. One more time. Lower. Nice. Wave through. The next progression in the stretch is going to have upper body rotation to bring that stretch from the hip up the QL, then across the lower back. Turn upper body. There you go. See that stretch is going now around the back side, way through. And then if you have somebody helping you, go ahead and scoot down, hip out, upper body turn. Now I can actually bring this arm up a little bit, bring this hand down. Now turn and look at me if you can. And she's getting a real long fascia line stretch right there. Hip flexor right up the QL, into the shoulder, and now you got it actually into the wrist. It's a real long line stretch. That's really going to help everything get loosened up good. Okay, now bring this leg out about 30 degrees here. Same principle, just going into the lunge, down, and all that's doing is, again, basically the same thing, hip flexor, hamstring, but now you're bringing the groin into it a little bit. Down a little further. One more time. Very good. Okay, let's turn over and let's, yeah, that. Okay, with this next one, we're just going to get some blood into the hip rotators. So we're going to rock back and forth. Go a little bit further, a little bit faster. Go ahead and drop down. Okay. Now basically you just drop the knees down. You put the one knee up into your foot so that it's braced right there, the leg's braced. You're going to put a hand on each side of your leg there. You're going to have nice good posture. And then you're going to lower yourself down like you're going to do a push-up at the first resistance level. The resistance in this case is going to be your inner glute. So she should be feeling a little bit of tightness right in there. She's going to wave out. She's going to lower herself a little further. Now, again, as masters runner, we don't often have, good posture anymore. And what tends to happen is you'll bend down with the head like that, lowering yourself down with that rounded back, and you'll feel tremendous difference. That almost no resistance at all in that glute. So if you bend at the waist, you'll definitely feel that resistance level. Start walking the hands behind you until you feel the first resistance. Again, this is going right across the lower back there, but she's also getting it up the quad. Okay, now relax off of it a little. Pretty good. You can see Yulia is pretty flexible here. Rotate the upper body, look at me. I walk the hands. You don't want pain in these stretches. You just want to feel that resistance. Push the resistance each time a little further if you can. Okay, go to drop that forearm. So again, we're stretching that right up the quad through the hip flexor. What you're doing here is you got to make sure this leg is braced against your shoe. So you want that knee right into the midsection or heel of your shoe, and you're pulling the upper body away, and you'll feel that stretch right up the quad there. Right, back off. So it's easy to back off. You just relax and kind of lean forward a little bit, stretch back out, turn it back a little bit outwards. QL into it, so go ahead and pull out. feel the first stretch in the lat there, go ahead and wave through. Once you're waving through, you're releasing the pressure off the stretch. Back into it, pull out, arm up, over, wave through. Again, if you have somebody helping, you can get a little bit more of a stretch. Wave through, grab the arm, a little gentle pull, just get a little more tightness, wave through. Now I'm going to turn the arm, open the wrist up again, go ahead and look my way, Julia. That's a real long fascia line stretch there. That's a great stretch. Very good. Wave out. All right, let's lay flat, and we'll do the. That stretch across the back again, hip flexor, pulling up on the leg, let off, see if we can get a little bit more, a little bit higher, hold about 3 seconds, out. Again, we're going to bring the lat so the stretch comes across and right up the lat, so we can bring the arm up. Time. Again, I'm going to give this a little more tension. You don't want any pain. Okay. Of course, I can also, because it is hard to do it yourself, give a little bit more stretch. How's that feeling? Like a pretzel almost? Very good. Stand up. Let's go ahead and do like that. That'll matter.
No.
Oh, you gotta go that way. Open it up a little bit. Starting out, do that 5 or 6 reps. I go straight leg. So right now we're doing some leg swings. I like to start with the knee bent a little bit. That progresses the stretch a little bit easier. It's hard to just jump in with real high kicks. After about 6 reps, I straighten the leg out, and then I progress the stretch, using that momentum to get a little higher, but not doing anything crazy. I don't want to strain that hamstring or piriformis. Okay, I've done that little part of the warm-up, which has done a real good job of getting the whole core loosened up real well. So now I'm just going to start adding some different dynamic skips that I do to really get ready for my workout. So go ahead, Yulia. She's going to be doing some skipping with some forward arm rotations. All right, the next one, the same thing, the skips, but this time with the reverse shoulder rotations. So again, we're working working that calf muscle, getting the soleus ready. Again, we're getting good hip flexor, and then we're getting the shoulders loosened up. A lot of people don't really think shoulders are that important in running, but I assure you that if you have tightness there, doing some type of speed work, you know, it's just not advantageous. And even on a long run, if those shoulders are too tight, they can start cramping up. So a good having some nice looseness there will really help. All right, the next one is going to be some skips sideways, working the hip abductors. Again, we're going to be crossing the arms, keeping those shoulders nice and loose. We're still getting some good work to the soleus, but now we're getting those hip abductors worked on. Time constraints in the video, we've done a lot of these stretches just working the one side, so obviously we would be working the other side. So just like the skips with the hip abductors going the one way, we would then turn and go back the other way. So the next skips I like to do is odds ready to go. I usually yards, maybe 25 yards, and I take my time and walk back. You know, a lot of people with time constraints, maybe they'll just do the skips, turn right around, do the skips, do the side skips, butt kicks, and then it becomes almost like a Zumba workout or something like that. We're not looking to do a workout, we're looking to just warm up. So just take your time, walk back properly, let the heart rate get down just a touch, and start the next set. For the skips is high knees, and high knees. They don't have to be overly exaggerated. Just basically getting them up to 90 degrees is perfectly fine. Alright, that's it for that. Alright, that's basically it for what I do to get ready for all stretched out, the dynamic stuff. Now, if I have something tight, I may add a couple of different things. I might do a karaoke type thing, or I might just spend a little bit more time on some of these stretches I showed you earlier. If I still feel something stiff, I'm gonna work on it, try to make sure I get it loosened up. In the next part of my warm-up, I'm still not actually ready to begin my intervals or run my race. I'm going to do what I call warm-up intervals. So let's say the track workout I would be planning on doing today, I'm going to do some VO2 work, run a couple 800s, 1Ks at 5K pace. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run a 200, one pace slower than my scheduled workout pace. So I'm going to go ahead and run a 200 at lactate threshold pace. After that, and it might be a little faster, it usually is, but it's usually in between the two paces, so it's a little slower than the 5K pace. Then I'm going to run a 100 meter after walking for a little bit, getting recovered. I'm going to run a 100 meter and try to hit right on the 5K pace. Take my time and rest a little bit. Then I'm going to run one more 100 at the next pace that I would work out, mile pace. And I'm going to hit that. That's going to be noticeably a little faster. I then finish that. At that point, usually I might be swapping shoes out, putting a little bit of a lighter shoe, a tempo shoe, or if I'm doing faster workouts, I might even be putting spikes on, depending on what I'm working on. But that gets me ready. Now, if I'm at a race, I can't always do that, but because the track a lot of times might be taken up, so I might only be able to work on the back side, running approximately 100 meters. So in that case, if I'm at the race day, I might have to even go off field. But if you do these warm-up intervals before your workout, you'll notice that you start getting a real good feel for the pace on those warm-up intervals. So then when you get to race day, even if you have to do it by feel, you'll get it pretty close, and then you'll be ready. And I can tell you that I usually am so close to nailing my first lap on pace. Usually I'm a little fast, but I do a real good job of hitting the pace. So that's basically it. The only other thing I would maybe do is if I was doing speed work, some sprint work or something like that, I would add my A skips and B skips to that workout. So that's it. If you do all that, I think you'll find you'll have a good successful workout and probably injury-free. Since I've incorporated this routine, I really haven't had any injuries at all, so it's worked out great for me. So until next time, Coach at Fittestover40. Thanks.